The reason for WWE putting on the Superstar Spectacle event has now been revealed. Seth Rollins will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura at WWE Payback as Nakamura reveals what he whispered in Rollins' ear a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Chad Gable defeats Gunther, but not for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw. Kevin Owens made his return to the Red Brand this week. Nick Aldis was backstage once again, working as a producer. We got the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown featuring Edge's last match on his WWE contract. Akira Tozawa picks up his first win on Raw in 6 years against The Miz, thanks to LA Knight, and Rhea Ripley will be defending the Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez at Payback. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's start off talking about Superstar Spectacle, and the reason behind WWE wanting to do this big live event in India has now been revealed. WWE returns to India for Superstar Spectacle on September 8, 2023, and more details of the business decision behind the event have now been revealed. The return to India had been announced on August 1st via an official WWE press release. Plans for the return had been previously delayed while WWE's broadcast partner in India underwent a merger. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer has now addressed the reasoning behind WWE's upcoming show in Hyderabad, India. He said, quote, "They've been wanting to do this big show. It's basically a television event in India. The building itself, it's like 3,500, 4,000 seats for this setup. It's not about drawing a big crowd or anything like that, like big money from the fan base, but it's a show that their business partners in India are bringing them in. It's going to be a primetime special, I think, on Sony 6. It was something that was planned months ago and delayed because they were waiting for a merger to go through, and that has since gone through with Sony 6. It's going to be using heavily Sangha and Veer and Jinder Mahal. Discusses the previous Superstar Spectacle event and the fact that WWE had so many Indian talents at the time, the majority of which were let go or haven't been used much, if at all, since then. Quote, "The idea was always to have a big stable of Indian wrestlers because India is the market, even though they can't go there and draw people at shows because culturally, people just don't buy tickets for big sports events other than cricket, which is like the big national sport. But it's very, very difficult to sell tickets. When they went with Jinder and Triple H, they did have 9,000 people. It wasn't a sellout or anything, but people think, oh, they're so popular on TV, which they are, but they make more money on television in India than anywhere but the United States. They make more than Canada. They make more than the UK. I think Canada's number 4, UK's number 3, India's number 2 as far as the money they can make off television. So it's a very important market for WWE, but not a market that they can run a whole bunch of shows in like they can in Canada or the UK. Of course, WWE had previously held a show called Superstar Spectacle in January of 2021 from the WWE Thunderdome, which featured the likes of Jet Rima, Guru Raj, Giant Sanjay, Serena Santu, and the Bollywood Boys as well. Another Indian star that will seemingly appear on the upcoming show is Shanky, who is featured on the poster. It had previously been reported that Indus Sher would be strongly positioned for the upcoming show, despite the fact they haven't appeared on Monday Night Raw for a few weeks now. But more recently, of course, it was also revealed that John Cena will be in action for the September 8th show as well. Let's move on and talk about last night's edition of Monday Night Raw. And Shinsuke Nakamura has revealed what he whispered to Seth Rollins and why the World Heavyweight Champion was concerned. WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura is now official for the upcoming Payback Premium Live event. The match was announced on Monday's edition of Raw, where Nakamura cut a promo explaining what he whispered into Rollins' ear the previous week, revealing that those words filled the champion with fear and insecurity. Nakamura said he's aware of Rollins' weakness and plans to capitalize on the same at Payback. Quote, "I whispered to Seth, I know about your back," Nakamura said in a pre-recorded interview. Seth's back has been broken for many years. He lives in pain, and this pain creates a void inside of him that nothing can fill. No matter how successful he is still in pain. When he hugs his wife, he is in pain. When he picks up his child, he is in pain. He is a world champion, yet every day of his life is filled with pain. Nakamura proceeded to note that Rollins' worst fears were coming true, as he knows the King of Strong Style can break him once and for all. Later in the night, a despondent-looking Rollins confirmed he's been wrestling with 2 fractures in his lumbar spine. Quote, "I have been living with that injury for over 4 years," Rollins revealed. "It doesn't get better by itself. Matter of fact, it gets worse, and the truth is, I don't know what the end game is. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do this at the level that I'm currently running at." The promo ended with Rollins calling out Nakamura for making things personal, offering the latter one more chance to play your little mind games on next week's Raw, which would be the final stop before Payback. Rollins said he was giving Nakamura the opportunity to prove he's an honourable warrior and seemingly invited him to a brawl. The match at Payback will mark Nakamura's first shot at a WWE World title since his match against former Universal Champion Braun Strowman all the way back in April of 2020. What did you make of Nakamura's promo, and is this the time? Is this the time to actually put a championship, a world championship on Shinsuke Nakamura and move on? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. Chad Gable defeated Gunther, but not for the Intercontinental Championship, even though it was an Intercontinental Championship match. Chad Gable handed WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther his first singles loss since arriving to the main roster, but the Ring General still holds the gold thanks to the champion's advantage following Gable's count-out victory, hanging on to the belt even in defeat. Gunther, of course, who is just 18 days away from beating the Honky Tonk Man's record-setting reign, was counted out after Gable sent him over the barricade into the timekeeper's area and made it back into the ring himself at the count of 9. The champion, who did not have the help of his Imperium stablemates at ringside during the match, attempted to get Gable counted out multiple times throughout the bout. At one point, Gable even looked to have the match won, pinning Gunther off a German suplex. The champion, though, was able to kick out and regain control of the match for a while before the match spilled outside of the ring. After the bell rang, Gable was announced the winner. Imperium appeared and made ring announcer Samantha Irvin announce that Gunther was still the Intercontinental Champion. Gable made his way up the ramp, announcing the title would soon be going home with him. As of this recording, no official Intercontinental Championship match has been announced for Payback, of course that being WWE's next premium live event from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, coming up on September 2nd. What did you make of the match, and what do you think of Gunther losing? Is this a good thing for Chad Gable? Kevin Owens is back after a short spell on the sidelines with an injury. One half of the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Kevin Owens, made his return on Raw Monday night following a hiatus due to an injury. His tag team partner Sami Zayn opened the show from Quebec, the home province of both stars, to a massive crowd reaction. Zayn's homecoming was cut short by the Judgment Day who surrounded the ring before Zayn brought out a returning Owens to a huge cheer and ovation. Owens stormed down the ramp and stormed on Dominic Mysterio before throwing Finn Balor into the barricade and delivering a stunner to Damian Priest. As the Judgment Day regrouped outside of the ring, Owens got on the mic and delivered a challenge to any two of the stable, saying it had been far too long since he had had a match on Raw. Of course, Owens unofficially returned to action on Friday on a dark match following SmackDown, teaming with Zayn to take on Imperium. Owens had been out of action with a legitimate injury since July, when he was written off television via a Judgment Day attack. It was previously reported that he had been working with a fractured rib for a while and needed a rest before his return to Monday nights. Now, Nick Aldis was once again backstage this week at Monday Night Raw. A bit of an update back from backstage from last night's edition of Raw in Quebec in Canada regarding Nick Aldis. According to a report from PW Insider, Nick Aldis was once again backstage at Raw last night. This isn't the first backstage appearance for Aldis in recent weeks, where he was previously noted as having other producers. His producer tryout is continuing, according to PW Insider, as Aldis is yet again working in the producer capacity on last night's show. News of Aldis having a trial working backstage in WWE in a producer role comes on the heels of another star who has recently been working the same task. Bobby Roode has also been working as a backstage producer, which we've covered previously. What do you think about Nick Aldis in this role? Are you still surprised he's being used as a producer, or is this just a case of a foot in the door and eventually the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion will appear on WWE TV? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, the big story coming out of SmackDown on Friday, of course, was Edge having his final match on his WWE contract. No news yet on whether he's going to retire, whether he's going to re-sign with WWE, go to AEW. One thing we do know, though, is the ratings for the show on Fox. Despite hosting a celebration surrounding the final match of WWE Hall of Famer Edge's current contract, treated akin to a retirement on the program, SmackDown was barely able to pick up gains in its viewership from last week. WrestleNomics is reporting that SmackDown was viewed by an average of 2.094 million viewers overall, which is about 2% rise from last week's edition. Viewership in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic was up a meager 1%, with 723,000 viewers aged 18 to 49 tuning in for the former WWE's champion match with Sheamus. While the farewell to the Rated R superstar wasn't able to lift viewership much, the match was still one of the most viewed quarter hours of the entire episode, with 2.138 million tuning in for Edge's victory over the Celtic Warrior. The match was also the highest rated segment amongst 18 to 49 viewers. The most viewed quarter hour was the beginning of the show, which saw a bump in viewership due to SmackDown being preempted by NFL football. SmackDown also featured a match between LA Knight and former United States champion Austin Theory. The show was kicked off by former NXT star Grayson Waller, who hosted an edition of the Grayson Waller Effect with new US champion Rey Mysterio, who was interrupted by both Knight and Theory as well as Adam Pearce. That led to the #1 contender match between Knight and Theory, which was ultimately won by the former US champion. While SmackDown may not have had the biggest bump in ratings, it managed a slight rise, while last week's Raw sunk to its lowest viewership since June 12, and also featured a double-digit drop in viewership in the 18 to 49 demo. What were your thoughts on the ratings, and is this just what we're going to see considering it's now the summer, post-SummerSlam, and will things pick up as we head into the fall? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Akira Tozawa wins a match on Raw. No, I'm not joking. The first time in 6 years that has happened. On last night's Raw, Akira Tozawa picked up their first singles victory in over 6 years in a match against The Miz. With The Miz continuing his feud from invading SmackDown to look LA Knight's match, he had the favour returned on last night's Raw. With The Miz announcing he was having a singles match against Akira Tozawa, the bout had already started when LA Knight appeared. Joining Wade Barrett and Michael Cole on commentary, Knight seemed to thoroughly psych out The Miz, who continued to fixate on him instead of his opponent during the match. In the end, it may have been the distraction that proved to be the tipping point for Akira Tozawa, who was able to best The Miz and capture his first singles win on Raw or SmackDown, but he's only ever been in 2 Battle Royals on SmackDown in over 6 years. Yes, 6. The last time Akira Tozawa won a singles match on Raw was when he beat Neville, now known as AEW's Pac, for the Cruiserweight Championship on August 14, 2017. Tozawa actually only held the titles for 6 days before Neville won it back at SummerSlam. This statistic doesn't, of course, include any of the 24/7 Championship tomfoolery, and it's worth mentioning that Tozawa did pick up a win in a round of a gauntlet match in December 2016 over R-Truth, but lost it in the next round of the gauntlet to Ricochet. So there you go. Certainly quite surprising when it comes to Akira Tozawa. Finally, Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez is now official for Payback. Despite many people thinking it was going to happen at SummerSlam, it's now happening at Payback instead. Rhea Ripley made short work of Candice LeRae on Raw, but it was the challenge issued after Ripley's submission victory that set up the champion for a Payback event a week from Saturday. Raquel Rodriguez, who had been trying to get medically cleared for weeks due to a storyline knee injury she suffered at the hands of Ripley before SummerSlam, came out after the match with a crutch seemingly nursing said injury. Ripley and Dominic Mysterio mocked Rodriguez on her injury, but Rodriguez threw her crutch at the Women's World Champion and battered her in the ring before Ripley made her escape up the ramp with Mysterio. Rodriguez got on the mic and announced she had been medically cleared as of Monday. She told Ripley not to worry, she had already spoken to Adam Pearce, and the match between herself and Ripley for the championship will take place on September 2nd in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Ripley, of course, had voiced her displeasure with being left off the SummerSlam card, reportedly due to time constraints. It also saw Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus being held weeks later, where the match with Rodriguez was rumored to be taking place. Ripley has held the championship since defeating Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 39. But there you go, guys. This latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.